I was laying in bed the night of the election returns. And I know this is going to offend some people, but I ignore the part where they go through the Confederacy because we know how everybody down there is going to vote. We know it's going to happen. It's a waste of time to watch it. And I thought, no way we're going to vote a cartoon character into the president's office, right? So I fell asleep. And when I woke up...
Like most of us fell asleep, yeah.
Because I just thought we were better than that. And when I woke up, I realized that we weren't.
Have you ever heard of A Girl Has No President?
I have not.
No, 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 I have not.
No.
No.
I have not.
Yeah, there hasn't been a Can my answer then be yes?
I never hear that.
Thank you.
I don't know much, I'm telling you.
It's an Instagram account.
Oh, cool.
Someone who's heard of it.
Maybe Ben would know. He's been the artist right there.
Oh, okay.
Maybe ask him.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. Have you ever heard of A Girl Has No President?
I have. I believe that we met at some point, and then we followed each other on Instagram, and then I forgot who it was, and the account is anonymous. It's embarrassing, honestly. Sorry if you know me. I promise I know you, just not attached to the account. I remember faces and not names. And so I remember being like, holy crap, I know this person, and this account is so big, and wait, their picture's not in here. Dang it, I forgot who they were.
Well, they'll be glad to know that you remember their face and not their name.
Yeah, it was perfect, I guess, for the anonymity.
Yeah.
There's a word.
A Girl Has No President. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Like a lot of the folks we just heard from, I had no idea who this was or what this meant until I sat down for this interview. Now, in some ways, it's not totally surprising the people didn't know who we were talking about. That's because the woman behind this viral Instagram account, she works hard to stay anonymous. Her name is not tied to the account, and she notoriously does not accept media requests. But for us, she did. I'm Demetria Kalodimos. It's Banner and Company. A Girl Has No President grew out of what our guest describes as
Pure, unadulterated anger. Less than a week after the election, I was so angry that it was unhealthy, not just for myself, but for the people around me. I could feel my heartbeat in my tongue, which is unhealthy. And I needed an outlet, and I didn't have it, so I created it. I started with no followers, like it was a conversation with myself. I don't know if you ever noticed, but I don't use hashtags. I love my followers. Many of them are fantastic. We chat every day, but I've never technically asked anyone to follow me. So it's just sort of been organic. I've never run an ad, things like that.
had there not been social media, where would that anger have gone?
Probably inward, which is unhealthy. I have a family. I have 2 young kids, and I didn't want to take that out on them. You know, my husband has a profound hearing loss, and I remember yelling at my husband because he couldn't hear me, because I was just so filled with rage, and that's obviously stupid. You know, it's not his fault. He has a disability. So my rage that I turn inward, you know, can only be inward for so long before you start attacking other people, and I didn't want to be that person.
So take me back to Election Day 2016. Tell me about it.
My grandmother never got to vote for a woman for anything. And I remember taking a picture of my grandmother in my pocket with me when I took my daughter to vote, and I wore white. You look at me, I never wear white. And I just wanted to show respect to the suffragettes and the people who came before me and the people who were counting jelly beans in a jar in Alabama, and they couldn't guess the right number, so they never got the right to vote because they were black. So I thought of all those people like I think of all those people every time I vote. I try to think of everybody who's not me when I vote. And I took my kid with me, and I made it a big deal, my daughter, and she was very young, so she didn't really understand. I explained it, but she was young. And I voted, and I did what I thought was all I could do. And I went home, I fell asleep, and I woke up, and I was gutted. And I remember I had to go to work that morning, at the time in a public school, and I woke my daughter up before I left because I wanted her to hear it from me. And I remember saying to her, he won, or at least he's in office. He didn't win the popular vote, but that's another conversation. He's in office. We'll be okay. And I said, I will make sure that you're okay. I will take care of you. And she said, very young, who's going to take care of you? And I didn't have an answer. And I cried all the way to work. And I remember having to leave the room with the kids in it so that I could throw up in the bathroom, because I was just so devastated, because I hoped in my mind, and I know things that this country's done that are terrible, but I ignorantly thought that we were better than that, and that showed that we were not.
You still get emotional. I see some emotion coming over your face.
Yeah, I'm definitely emotional when I think about that in that conversation with my daughter, because she asked for something and I couldn't promise it.
It occurs to me that to the uninitiated, we're going to have to explain what it is you do that has brought you a degree of renown.
Sure. So back to the night of the election, I was angry and I needed an outlet. So about 6 days later, I created an account. And I remember laying in bed that night, and I was watching, in the middle of Game of Thrones, we had watched Game of Thrones. So I remember laying in bed that night, I said to myself out loud, a girl has no president. And I started that account with no followers. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't ask my friends to follow me. I mean, some of my friends do follow me, but like my mother doesn't know about it. My father doesn't know about it.
Really?
No, there's no need, because I'm not the narrative. Like, it's my voice, but like, nobody cares about me. I mean, I don't think anybody cares about me. I want you to care about what happened at the house in Tennessee yesterday. I want you to care about, missing black kids that aren't being reported. I want you to care about things that maybe just aren't usually put in your face.
What was the first ever post?
I don't remember.
You
I mean, it
don't?
was something about Trump, I'm sure. I mean, I was filled with rage. I mean, ragey. And that's one good thing about me, is that I can admit when something is not working for me in a mental health capacity and say, like, I need to change this. But I'm very good at holding on to anger. I mean, I'm still angry from 2016 without it crushing me.
What if no one had followed you? Would you still be doing it?
I don't know. I feel like I started out saying this is just going to be a conversation with myself. I'm so angry. I'm ragey. I need a place to put this. So I maybe wouldn't do it as much. Like, sometimes I spend too much time doing it and reading, but I think I'd still do it because it is therapeutic for me. It's definitely an outlet.
I'm envisioning the tally board going crazy with follower after follower. When did things start to happen?
I remember Chelsea Handler's sister followed me. Sweet as she can be. She told Chelsea about me, and then Chelsea Handler not only followed me, but one day she gave me, there was a post where you should follow this girl, she's doing important things, yada, yada, great stuff. And I was very thankful, but I didn't know, like my phone was sitting there and the notifications were on, and my phone was just like moving across the table to the floor. Like, what? I had no idea what was happening. And at first you don't know, what starts that. So it took me a while to figure it out. And I was talking to my friend in Ireland, and we're trying to figure it out. He's like, somebody shared something. And I don't know how to, at the time for sure, I didn't know how to go look to see if someone shared or the analytics. I don't care about that stuff. So it took me, I think, a couple of days to figure it out, but I gained like 40,000 followers in a day.
And you don't recall the image or the post?
No, I have no idea.
But you are, in a way, creating art, right? You're an artist. Admit it.
Am I? I don't know.
Yes, you are.
I don't know how to see that. I mean, I'm not one of those, I'm not good enough kind of people. I love me. I think I'm fantastic. So it's not a self-esteem issue. It's just like I'm not really a follower or a joiner, so sometimes it's hard for me to understand. Like, I met a girl one time, and she was so lovely in Denver, I believe, and I took this wonderful photo of her and I said, can I share it? So I'll tag you. So I looked her up and I realized she follows me all the way in Denver. That's crazy, right? So I was like, oh God, you follow me. And she started crying. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, you're so lovely. I don't know I don't know where to put that. I don't know. I don't have a place for that makes sense to me because I'm just like her. I'm just someone's mother and I have a job.
You're listening to Banner and Company. We'll be right back.
Aqui no Spotify, muitas playlists são criadas através de inteligência artificial. A IA está em todo lugar, mas nem todo IA é igual. Desbloqueie experiências de IA mais inteligentes, fáceis de expandir e personalizadas para sua vida e seus negócios com os computadores Lenovo e processadores Intel Core Ultra, que transformam a sua experiência tecnológica. Acesse lenovo.com/smarter-AI. Lenovo, inteligência artificial mais inteligente para todos.
Does a girl has no president have an agenda?
Sure. I want people to think about things that they aren't forced to think about. I want people to know about things I want you to care about something before it directly affects you. I have been a victim of gun violence, but I don't want you to have to be a victim of gun violence before you care. It's hard to understand if you haven't been in it, but you can still have empathy and you can still care and fight for people who have been through it, if that makes sense.
Do you talk about your brush with gun violence?
Not a lot. I mean, I was robbed at gunpoint when I was much younger. And, before I had children, back when I was like, I'm not having kids. So it was a long time ago. But now, the kids I have now, it's projected onto them still. And they weren't even a thought then. Like, we walk into a restaurant, it's not a conversation on where Mama's going to sit. I'm sitting with my back to the wall so I can see the front door.
To this day?
Mm-hmm. I think about it every day when I brush my hair because I was pushed and I cut my back of my head a little bit. So I have hair that doesn't grow right and it grows in a weird way. So I often wear my hair up like I am now. So, yeah, I mean, it isn't all of who I am, but it's definitely a part of it.
Were you hurt other than the cut?
Physically, I wasn't. I mean, the cut wasn't even that big of a deal. It just took like a stitch or two. It was no big deal. I mean, it's been a while. It was a big deal, but it could have been worse. I don't even think it was intentional. I just tripped over a chair as he pushed me and I hit my head on the safe. It wasn't a huge ordeal. But no, it definitely, when someone says in a ski mask, do this or I'm going to kill you, your life is different after that.
And were you alone?
No, I was with other employees of the place where we were working.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was ugly, but I know that I always learned as a very young kid that no matter how life is or things suck, there's always somebody who's got it worse than you. So there are levels to this stuff. I know that, but it's been quite a few years, and it still affects me. I think it always will. And it certainly makes me have empathy for people who have been through what I've been through or worse.
When you are speaking your mind with such abandon,
mm-hmm.
that comes at a risk.
Sure.
Are you scared at all?
I mean, I don't scare easily. I've always been...
You were held up at gunpoint. I mean, not much can scare you now.
True. But again, it can get worse than that.
Yeah.
I have never been shy about speaking my mind, and I don't scare easily. But I have gotten a lot of really, really bad threats through this account, and I did make the mistake, I think, of early on telling my husband some of them. So he's like, you're probably safer. It's probably a smart thing that nobody, you're anonymous. Yeah, it probably is, because some of it's awful, and some of it's directed at my children. The reason people don't seem to know who I am is because of my children and for my children. They didn't ask for this.
It is so hard to remain anonymous in this world.
Well, I mean, there's always someone that's going to come after you, but it really helps if you don't want the attention, if you don't Like, I'm not comfortable when people are like, oh, it's so close to me, you're so amazing. That doesn't do anything for me. Like, it just makes me uncomfortable. So I don't want to be on the front of magazines. I don't want to be in the newspaper. I don't want to be on the news all the time. I'll let other people do that who seem to be better at that than me. That's not what I want.
What do you think has been, to you, the most satisfying thing you've ever posted? Personally, that you thought really hit the mark?
I have like 30,000 something posts. I don't know.
Oh, pick one. Come on.
My favorite posts are probably posts where I talk about how where you're from or your upbringing makes you see something different. Like Riley Strain. That was awful. I mean, what happened to him was awful. And, we pulled 2 other bodies out of the river while we were looking for him. Who were those people? Like, we haven't even heard. Someone said they may be homeless people. Okay, but they're still people. I mean, are their families going to know? We ever going to know who those people are? Like, I want to know about those people. We know what happened. Well, we don't know what happened to Riley, but at least we found Riley's body, so his mom can have that. But, like, what about their moms? Like, we've got a Calvin Tullier, I think his name was missing from the Greyhound bus terminal, and I didn't see a word about that on any news station. That was just social media. And, that's how it happens. Like, I share about it, and then someone who's either in office or in the news, there's some reporters that follow me, they reach out. That's what does it for me. Like, if I can get a story that nobody's talking about and somebody puts it on the news, or, a council person or a rep or someone goes in on it, that's what makes me happy. I just want people to care about things that they don't even think about.
I know you hate influencer, but maybe you're an informer.
I think I'm a bullhorn.
Ah.
I'm not a content creator. I don't make memes in my basement. I don't care about that stuff. And I also understand that not everybody has my personality, and the things that are maybe easier for me to talk about are harder for some people. I understand that. So maybe just read what I'm writing, see what we're talking about, and maybe share it with somebody. Maybe cause someone else to have a discussion that they wouldn't have had.
This has to be a pretty regular thing, though. Have you ever gone dark for a period of time?
Well, I've gone dark. I've said to people, I've got surgery, I have to do this. I'm taking a couple of days off for my birthday, some days off for my mental health, and then I've been shut down by Instagram many times. 5 times since October 7th. So,
for what reason?
Speaking about Gaza, I attempted to talk about Israel and Gaza, and I've learned that Instagram seems to be pretty one-sided. And I also...
What happens when you get shut down? Do they inform you, or
They never inform me. I mean, they'll inform me that they're removing a post for something, but they don't tell me when my account just becomes unusable. And I just figure it out. And the first time they shut me down after the October 7th, it was like the 9th, and I lost it for 10 days. And then I came back, and I mentioned the word Gaza in a comment section on my own post, and I lost it for 6 or 7 days. And then a few days later, when I got it back, I used the word Gaza again, and they shut me down again. So I realized that was the word. Like, I can't use the word Gaza. And it wasn't like, I put it on there, and 2 days later it was gone. No, it was like 4 minutes. Like, so somebody's really watching me from Instagram.
That's a little scary.
It's spooky, yeah. And I just think it's a shame, because what's going on is terrible there. And I'm not saying I'm the most, it's not my area. I didn't study it. I don't know everything about it. There are people who know better than me, but I should at least be able to comment on it. It's certainly what happened at Vanderbilt when that Nashville scene reporter was arrested, which was ridiculous. That's what those students were protesting. So I think we should all be able to comment on that, and I think it's sad that Instagram makes it so that we can't.
You're listening to Banner & Company. Our guest is the anonymous woman behind the viral Instagram account, A Girl Has No President. I'm Demetria Kalodimos. We'll be right back. Growing up poor in Nashville, we like to pride ourselves on Nashville being a caring community of volunteers and people that embrace. Did you feel that growing up, or were you an outsider?
Well, I was the kid and I was very young, and I'm sure it was different for my mother, who was divorced. But I mean, I remember there were times when people left food on our porch.
Really?
Yeah, and left. There was someone who every year left a canned ham on our porch. I still don't know who it was. And there were times when that's all we had. And there were times when we had 3 pork chops in the house and a can of peas, and my mother would give us the pork chops and finish what was left of the can of peas because we didn't have any.
And how many of you were there?
I have a brother and a sister.
Was there happiness?
There was happiness. I like to think that they did the best that they could, but sometimes their best wasn't good enough as far as, and I don't mean money, I just mean there were times that I didn't have my parents, and I don't really want to go into that too much, but
Sure.
There were times when we didn't live it with our parents. So that's a failure, obviously. And that is something that's stuck with me, and I think, these awful things, you don't want your kids to go through them, but all those things I went through, I think made me a more understanding and compassionate person. And I learned to appreciate people. I'm always going for the underdog. And when certain communities are on the chopping block, I want to sing their praises and I want to protect them because I've seen them so damaged. And I know what that's like, and I don't want that for other people.
Have you always had this kind of empathy for others?
I grew up in Nashville. I took the regular history classes, the U.S. history classes, and I remember being in, I think, 10th grade U.S. history. And I stopped and I raised my hand and I asked my teacher, why aren't we learning about black people in history? We're talking about American history. Why, when they're spoken about, are they spoken about as enslaved Africans or slaves in my book, that they were called in that book? And he said, I'm telling you what's in the book. And then we went farther. It may have been a different day. I don't remember. I raised my hand again and I said, but this isn't accurate. He slammed the book and sent me to the office. And my principal was a black woman. So I said to her, look, I'm not trying to be, well, I was trying to be argumentative. I was like, I just want to understand why you aren't teaching us what really happened. I'm asking you are a black woman. Why is what happened to black folks in this country, what we did to black folks in this country, why is that being hidden from me? And she said, well, he's right in that he's telling you what's in the curriculum and what's in the book. We can only teach you what we're allowed to teach you. So in that moment, I learned 2 things. A, she knew that what they were teaching me was all that they could teach me. She was telling me that. And she also knew that it was wrong. She couldn't say that to me, but I could just tell from that conversation. I was like, okay. So I went back and I just listened and I got through high school. And then I took night courses, I remember, out of high school, and I refused to take them from white people. I only wanted to take them from black people. I took African American studies. I took civil rights courses. I want to learn. And it created a passion for me my whole life of learning that and teaching my kids. Because I like teaching my kids things that, and that's the first thing I did when COVID started, was I was like, do you know what certain words like Stephen Biko, do you know what that is? Do you know what's about South Africa? So we started there, and they'd never heard of him before. Why would they? Because when I was in school, I learned the Power Three, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Harriet Tubman. I didn't learn anything about Emmett Till in high school. That's criminal.
Do you have people that tell you, why aren't you running? Why aren't you going up there to change things instead of using the bullhorn of Instagram?
Not a lot of people have said that to me. I feel like people who run for office are better at controlling their temper and their mouth, and I'm not known for doing either of those things. I mean, I don't even do deep canvassing because I can't have a conversation with you. I mean, I had somebody tell me one time that my gun rights are more important than your children. What's a response to that that's healthy? I don't have one. And I think if you are running for office, you need to be able to schmooze with those people. I don't want to do that.
You don't have the capacity.
I don't
for that.
have it. My job, I think, is to lead you to water. I cannot make you think. That's on you. So, I remember Michelle Obama, who I love, said, when they go low, we go high. And I think it's one of the worst things to happen to the Democratic Party. I love her. But when we go high, they slither underneath us and get worse. And the fact that people are still saying that because they love her, and I get it, it's just damaging, I think. And I don't think she thought about it in the big picture. She's just a good person saying we need to be better. I get that. But we can't be better with what's going on in Tennessee. We have to get angry and fight. And we have to call these people out by name. And we have to tell them, you're going to listen to your constituents or we're coming for your seat. And anything else that you're saying is a waste of my time. I don't want it, and nobody seems to want it. I will never vote for any person, Democratic, Republican, or independent, who tells me I can't govern my own body, that what's happening with gun violence, especially in this state, tell me that's unacceptable. Because if you're not fighting against it, what are you doing? Or that LGBTQ, you have to fight hard for them, and you can't come for them. I remember dating my husband all those years ago. I said to him on a date, one of our first dates, look, I've got this gay person in my family, there's a huge chance that we could have gay children. I need to know right now if that's something you're on board with. If you have a problem with that, I need you to work that out with yourself, and we'll discuss it. And he was like immediately, no, I would love my children regardless. Let's go. Let's do this.
You say you had to leave Nashville to love Nashville.
Yep. 100%.
Still believe that?
Yeah, because I appreciate it now, and I didn't appreciate it then. I mean, look, there's things I don't like about Nashville right now, sitting here, but I can appreciate it now that I didn't. I mean, I literally hated country music growing up. I remember saying, I can't wait to get out of Nashville because I'm waiting for them to break out in clog in the Kroger. I remember saying that to somebody, because hee-haw and all that, which is dumb, but that's a young person talking. But I still am not a huge fan of country music, but I can appreciate it now. Now, I appreciate Nashville. I don't appreciate Lower Broadway. I don't do that. Yeah. No, thank you. People would say, oh, I'm going to come visit. Can we go down to Lower Broadway? You can go down to Lower Broadway. I'm going under duress when we go to a Predators game or something. I want Slim and Huskies. I'll go to Buchanan because I'm not going to Lower Broadway because I love them, but I hate Lower Broadway. I just don't like it.
When someone asks you, why should I go to Nashville? What should I see there?
Right now, I tell them, don't come here. We don't deserve your money. We are, if I may, shitting the bed politically. People are getting drugged in downtown Nashville. I said that, I questioned that when Riley Strain went missing, like, wow, he got drunk so fast. Is it possible he was drugged?
Yeah, there was a lot of chatter about that.
And when I said that, my DMs were alight. That
really?
happened to me. I mean, 50 people maybe? I mean, that's a lot. 50 people who just happened to be following me who say they were drugged in downtown Nashville.
So that's not a conspiracy theory. It's a
No, I do not think
reality.
I mean, these people aren't lying to me. Why would they lie to me? I'm not going to share. I don't share your names. I'm not sharing your story unless you tell me to, or tell me that's something you're interested in. It was a lot of people, and I mean rapid succession. Like, it's a day and a half, 50 people. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And the stories were vastly the same. I went in, I got a cup of water, or I had a Coke, or I had one drink, or I had two drinks, and I couldn't walk.
Next thing I know,
That's a problem. And I know, I can't remember the councilwoman's name. I want to say it's Demetria. They started that Safe Bar Tennessee thing where they
with the coasters.
Yes, with the coasters, and they train you, and they train the staff, and you can order a certain shot that says I'm in danger. Those things are wonderful. Everybody needs to sign up for that, every bar. And I know that the smaller bars probably are struggling because you have to shut down, they have to do the training, maybe they have to pay for the training, I don't know that. But that just seems like a no-brainer because there's a problem down there, a big problem. And I think that we hide our crimes so that people continue to come here and spend money. I mean, I want my city to thrive, but not when we're not like this. I tell people not to come here. Or I tell them, don't come here thinking it's safe because they make it look like it's safe, but I don't know that you're safe.
If there are people out there listening to this who really feel like they want to express themselves but are too timid, what's your advice? What do you tell them?
I tell them to do it anyway, because if not you, then who? If you have a voice, you should use it. We should all use it if we have a voice. I mean, there's things worth fighting for, and you can spend your whole life not fighting for them. I took my kids to Alabama on a civil rights trip towards the end of COVID. We went to Selma, Montgomery, and Birmingham, not in that order. But at the base of the Edmund Pettus, before you go into Selma, there's like a little park where they have plaques and stuff, and they have a John Lewis plaque. And if I could have ever hugged a man I've never met, it would have been John Lewis. And it's just a plaque that says, get in the way. And that is my mantra, just get in the way. Sometimes people are going to hate you for it, and sometimes they're going to love you, and sometimes even the people that love you aren't going to understand, and that's okay. as long as you get what you're doing and it's working for you and it's moving you and it's progressing you, then you're on the right path, I think.
Do we have a secret connection that I'm just not recalling?
Well, there's a couple.
Okay.
I don't remember how old I was, but I was riding my bike when I was very young around the Harding Mall area in that sort of part of town. And it was some friends of mine, and you pulled us over to say, hey, can I ask you some questions? And I think you were, it's a long time ago, but I think you asked us questions about the curfew. I think you were talking about the curfew at midnight, and we were all like, we hate it, because we were kids, right? And you were like, okay, and we rode away. And then I saw you again. We've always loved you.
Oh,
Dan
thank
Miller,
you.
Bill Hall. Come on. And that's one of the reasons I agreed to do this. I love you.
I'm especially honored. Thank you.
And absolutely. And the nod to Dan Miller with the name of your podcast. As soon as he said that, I was like, oh, yeah. I actually teared up a little bit. And I immediately contacted Music who I knew would love to hear that. And they did. They're like, oh my God, we love her. So,
you know, I figured if anyone could rip off Miller in his title,
I think
he'd
would
give
be
his
honored.
blessing.
Yeah, for sure. And then I saw you again the night that Freddie won. You walked by me and I pointed at you. I'm like, oh my God, Demetria Kalodimos, I love you. And just pointed. You're like, thanks, crazy person. But it was a good moment. I again texting Music.
And I bet you can spell my name.
I cannot. I cannot. No, I cannot.
Banner and Company is a production of the New Nashville Banner. Our producers are Steve Haruch and Andrea Tudhope. Original music by Verlin Thompson. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or go to NashvilleBanner.com. You're in good company. Okay. Sitting on our table here is a fish bowl, minus the fish. But instead of fish, we have questions here from our previous guests.
Okay.
So the final question in our interview is posed by someone else who had no idea they'd be asking you.
Okay. I was wondering what that fishbowl was for. Do you want me to grab one?
Yes, please.
Okay. How do you see yourself in the world of confusion?
World of confusion that I feel we live in every day. You know, where do you fit into that?
I don't know where I fit into that, but I see myself as someone who is angry, and I don't want to live like this because we don't have to live like this. The things that are happening, especially in Tennessee, are a choice that we're making with our elected officials, and I'm tired of it, and I want to change that, and I'll do whatever I can to do that, short of running for office, because I'm not doing that.